as a matter of UK law, the main exception that we look at is reporting current events. You can't rely on that exception for photographs, so we're talking here really about video footage. And we have to ask ourselves, why should we be looking at this video without permission? What is it about what's in this video that means it is fair not to have sought permission? Why do we have to see the video as opposed to, for example, a description of what has happened? What is it that's special about that video? The footage has been made available to the public, which will normally be okay because it will be on Twitter or on YouTube. Possibility of sort of closed messaging apps suggests that might not always be the case. Equally, it might not always be the case that the person who has made it public is actually the person who owns the copyright. I think it can be generally pretty difficult to show that in any particular instance that footage needed to be shown, because by doing that, what you're effectively doing is preventing that uploader from controlling their copyright and potentially monetizing that copyright because you have let that image sort of out the bag. And that can be a very powerful factor going against a fair dealing exception, that you have cut across the potential use and even exploitation that the copyright owner can go on to make of the video. So that's why I said focus on the need for that particular video to be shown at that particular time. We're talking about a defence that relies on the newsworthiness of the event that the footage, for example, has captured. It becomes difficult to rely on a pure, the pure exception to the copyright infringement, because an infringing act will still be committed sort of later on, having that footage still available on the site, because a year down the line it won't be newsworthy anymore. I think the more sort of pragmatic response will be, well, it's probably not going to be seen by that many people anymore, so any sort of damages will be quite low, because that sort of the long tail that we're talking about there is probably not very valuable. However, you can easily see a situation where that footage wants to be used again because a documentary comes up later down the line. And in those circumstances, we have to shift from thinking, well, it's a newsworthy event and I'm using it to report the news, to trying to rely on other exceptions if there's been no permission, such as a sort of more general fair use exception or a quotation exception using the language in the UK. And that requires more treatment to the video than just a straightforward, here's this video, let's look at it now, which is how it would sort of be used in the news context. I think some more has to be done with that video by way of commentary or discussion or criticism or review to really be more comfortable that you can rely on an exception if you didn't have permission in the first place.